You may recall that Judicial Watch had sued both the Justice Department and the FBI about another scandal, the Clinton-Lynch tarmac meeting. And as a result of Judicial Watch's lawsuit against the Justice Department, we got some talking points which were redacted outrageously by this Justice Department that Loretta Lynch used. And if the story was straight, why did you need talking points? I understand there's a recording of that Clinton-Lynch tarmac meeting somewhere. That's the information we have. We told the court that. So we'll see what comes out of that. But in those documents, we found that there were FBI communications. Well, the FBI, in another lawsuit about the Clinton-Lynch records, had told us there were no FBI communications. There were no records. They looked for records about the Clinton-Lynch tarmac meeting, and they couldn't find anything. Well, that was a big lie, because we caught them as a result of the Justice Department admitting they had records where the FBI was communicating with them about the meeting. So we caught them in that lie, in that cover-up, in that scandal, and they were forced to finally turn over some documents, I forget how many, and they showed that the FBI was, as you might imagine, more concerned about its public image and covering it up than about what happened at that meeting. And the documents show that there was a whistleblower who, locally in Phoenix, where the meeting took place, had blown the whistle, and the FBI was obsessed with figuring out who that person was and suppressing any further whistleblowing about the truth of the meeting. So that was outrageous enough. Then we get these Lisa Page, Peter Strzok records, the text messages, portions of which, I guess there are tens of thousands of them. They've released several, I don't know how many, but they've released a few, two groups of them to the Senate, and the Senate has produced them, publicized them. So we're reviewing those text messages. Oh, look, there's discussion about the tarmac meeting. So these are FBI records that were not turned over to Judicial Watch. And we asked the FBI, what's going on here? And they said they're going to get back to us. So I'll let you know what they come up with to explain this obstruction, this cover-up, this new scandal about the Clinton-Lynch tarmac records. So they were hiding, caught once by Judicial Watch, hiding one group of records, and then they turn over these text messages, again, not the FBI, I think it was Justice Department, it doesn't really matter because they're both the same agency, and we find they were lying again because there were more records they didn't turn over. So there you have it, another FBI scandal. And we're still waiting for the text messages of Andrew McCabe. He's the #2 official who was ousted, thanks, I think, in part to what Judicial Watch uncovered in terms of his conflicts of interest with respect to Hillary Clinton. His wife had received money from a Clinton crony when she was running for office. And he didn't bother recusing himself from the Clinton email investigations until a month before the election, after they had, as you know, shut it down. And obviously he was involved in the Russia investigations as #2, and finally something happened, maybe the FISA, I don't know, but Director Wray ousted him at the end of January. Well, we asked for McCabe's text messages last year on behalf of a retired FBI supervisory agent, supervisor. He knows what to do, what to ask. And they didn't turn over one text message to us. They gave us the response a few weeks ago. And we asked them about the text messages, and their legal response, I forget specifically what it was, but I know generally what it was go jump in a lake. Something like, we complied with the law. We know their text messages, and we know they didn't turn them over, and we want to know where they are. So the FBI is still in cover-up mode in an obstructive way. Because remember, we're in court. And when you're lying to Judicial Watch, you're lying to the courts. Because you're supposed to be reassuring the courts that Judicial Watch is getting the records after a good faith searches. And when you're messing with the court process in that regard, and withholding records improperly, even when in the course of a FOIA lawsuit, Freedom of Information Act lawsuit, you're obstructing the courts in my view. The lawyers may have a different analysis, but that's my perception as president of Judicial Watch. You're obstructing the court process. And this is the FBI.